Clayface will be the third movie in the DCU, releasing on September 11th, 2026. Clayface promises to be our first foray into the Gotham City of the DCU, or rather the second after the Dr. Phosphorus flashbacks from Creature Commandos. Right now, as I wrote, and now I'm recording this video, Clayface has begun filming, and as it does, we've gotten some set photos that tell us a good amount about the DCU Gotham City. Some things can be used to connect Clayface to the Batman movies, other details make that connection a little bit less likely, while other things confirm certain Batman characters in the DCU and even hint at big DC heroes. In this video, I'll be breaking it all down while trying to find out if the Batman franchise can still be connected to the DCU, because for all intents and purposes, it is still technically up in the air. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe, and become a member in the Noble tier or above for early access to videos, and in the King tier for a special shoutouts. Thanks to these members for the extra support. To start, we see our first look at Tom Rhys-Harries as Matt Hagen, both before his disfiguration and right after it. In the end, it won't much matter what Clayface's human form looked like, but in this story it definitely does, and at the very least his initial disfigurement looks really brutal. But then, getting into the meat and bones of the set photos, there are some things that do actually connect Clayface to the Batman, and might hint at a possible merger. A pretty big one is that Clayface is filming in Liverpool, England, which is being used as the basis for Gotham City of this movie. The Batman was also filmed primarily in Liverpool, with the addition of Glasgow, Ireland. This is more than likely to be a coincidence, but you'd think that if they were to differentiate the two Batman franchises, they'd want to make the two Gotham cities look and feel distinct from each other. Filming them both in the same place would not accomplish that. Then again, the Penguin actually filmed in New York, so I guess it doesn't really matter where they film, but it's possible that the Gotham City of Clayface will feel more like the Gotham City of the Batman than the Gotham City of the Penguin did. Amongst the set photos are newspapers that give us a good amount of information, which I'll get back to, but in the newspapers themselves, one of them is the Gotham Gazette, kind of the Daily Planet equivalent of Gotham. What's really interesting is that the font and logo of the Gotham Gazette in Clayface is identical to the font and logo in the Batman. The design does take inspiration from the real world, from the New York Times to be specific, so it might be a coincidence, but it also might be connecting tissue between the two. Gotham Gazette is where Vicky Vale typically works. Maybe we'll actually meet her in this movie. Finally, in another newspaper, the Gotham Herald, we see an article called Ignorant Bliss, which, if you zoom in, you can make out that it's actually talking about a party drug called Bliss. Bliss comes from the comics, a Teen Titans comic from 2010 to be specific, but it was also used heavily in the previous entry in the Batman franchise, the Penguin. Bliss was a new drug brought to Gotham, which the Penguin built his criminal empire on, specifically in the Batverse. It's obviously not confirmation or anything, but it's either intentional or a strange coincidence that they'd specifically choose Bliss as the drug in question. It leaves the door open for Clayface to directly follow up on the events of the Penguin, as now Bliss is flooding the streets. All that said, I will be honest, there's more from these set photos that disprove a merger than things that prove one. The headliner of all of these newspapers talks about Jimmy Red McCoy, a crime boss who's being investigated by the government for tax evasion. Jimmy Red McCoy was a one-off gangster villain from all the way back in Batman #4 in 1941, and he never appeared again. He might have a role in the movie itself, potentially being responsible for Hagen's disfiguration, or maybe his presence is limited to the background as a way to flesh out this world. The Batman movies dealt with mob bosses and gangsters and never mentioned this character, which is definitely a point against a merger. On the flip side of the Gotham Gazette, the Gotham Times has a completely different looking logo and font. The GCPD logo is different, with different art, added date of establishment, different color scheme. The police cars are also different, also because of a different color scheme and overall different designs. The Gotham City General Hospital appears in the set photos and in the Batman and the Penguin, and here it looks noticeably different, complete with a different logo. Other set photos show the actual cops, and while there are minor differences, they do actually look pretty similar to the cops from the Batman, but there are still differences. I saw people stating that this is proof that they aren't merging, like it cancels the idea completely. I agree that it does sway it in one direction, but I don't think it's completely proof. For one, certain parts of a city as large as Gotham can have differently designed police cars depending on where they are. Secondly, this would certainly take place after the Batman and after the Penguin. Maybe the GCPD made some changes following the back-to-back events of the Riddler's game, the Flood, and the ensuing gang war. The various logos that change is a bit much, like it's a bit wild to think that they all change, but it's not exactly out of the realm of possibility. Maybe Gotham City in general and every single one of its companies and organizations felt like it needed a reboot after the Flood. flood. But honestly though, none of these things are deal breakers for the continuity, because James Gunn has said that the DCU will have a tinge of creative freedom that actually supersedes continuity when it comes to the background of these projects. Metropolis in someone else's movie might look different from the Metropolis of Batman, and the Gotham City of Clayface might look different from the Gotham City of the Brave and the Bold, but it is still the same Gotham City. The same can certainly be true for the designs of the GCPD police cars and logos and signs here and there. For the same reason, I'm not sure how much the filming in Liverpool or the Gotham Gazette logo means. I think more than anything, it is the mention of the Batverse specific drug Bliss, which does not have much presence in the comics, but appeared in like the very last Batverse project, is a big hint. Based on all that connections and disconnections, I think the things that seem like they will break the possibility don't actually, but at the same time, there are still clear distinctions that do kind of push the envelope in the direction that they are not merging. But let's push the Batverse aside from now and focus solely on the DCU. These set photos confirm some Batman villains, a few organizations, and hint at one DC hero. A GBC or Gotham Broadcasting Company news is seen. This is a company that originated in Earth 2, owned by the original Green Lantern Alan Scott, who does actually also hail from Gotham City. I doubt he owns the GBC in this world, but if Alan Scott exists in this world, he probably does come from Gotham City, meaning Batman is not the original Gotham City hero, just the original Gotham City hero of the present day. We also see the newspaper The Gotham Herald, which originated in the 60s show, but never had much of a presence in the comics. Graffiti is seen that says the Mad Bomber. Now, the Mad Bomber is a minor Batman villain with one solitary appearance in an episode of Batman the Animated Series, which is titled Beware the Grey Ghost. Grey Ghost was a show that Batman liked when he was a kid, and in one episode, the Grey Ghost fought a villain named the Mad Bomber. And now, mirroring that, Batman faces Ted Dimer, a toy collector who recreates the Mad Bomber's bombings, becoming the real-life Mad Bomber. Mad Bomber never appeared again, not in the DCAU and not in the comics, so this is a bit of a deep cut. Except Clayface is based on an episode or two of Batman the Animated Series, so references to that show are not exactly surprising. Then again, if this is set in the Batverse, maybe the Riddler has a nickname of the Mad Bomber, considering what he did. There's also maybe kind of a reference to another DCAU Batman show, Batman Beyond. There's more graffiti that shows the Jokers, obviously referencing the Joker, but the Jokers in question are a bit more up in the air. Joker's gang is typically just called the Joker Gang. The Jokers, with a Z, was a gang inspired by the Joker in the future in Batman Beyond, while maybe it's referring to the Three Jokers, which was a story which revealed that the Joker are actually three beings: the comedian, the clown, and the criminal. This has since been retconned, and I highly doubt the DCU would adapt the Three Jokers in the DCU. It was controversial in the comics, but a live-action interconnected universe makes no sense for there to be three Jokers. So I think Joker is one man, and his gang in the DCU are called the Jokers, with an S. And finally, we see a pamphlet for a band called Alias Insane. There is a band in the comics which, after adding Black Canary as its lead singer, changed its name to Black Canary. Like Alan Scott, Black Canary is a non-Bat family member who resides in Gotham, or at least comes from there in some continuities. This might be the case here as well. I don't think she'll appear, but this is clearly a reference to the character and potentially even the direction they'll be taking her. Maybe in the DCU, she'll be from Gotham, she'll be a singer, she'll be a part of a band. I guess we'll see. While I was making this video, some more set photos were released showing things like Gotham National Bank. In the Batverse, there was the Bank of Gotham, which means nothing, there could be two banks, whatever. We see more looks at the GCPD cops, their motorcycles, and their HQ. The HQ is just one precinct, so there's no purpose in comparing it to the Batman version. One really big piece of connecting tissue here is that for Clayface, they actually filmed in the exact place that they filmed the City Hall in the Batman. If you look here, it's the exact same building. I mean, that can't be a coincidence, right? What's also interesting is that we see the insignia of Gotham. The symbol is different, but these two versions of Gotham have the same motto of Sic Parvis Magna, which means greatness from small beginnings. Initially, I thought this was another coincidence to add to the long list of coincidences that make these two versions of Gotham feel pretty similar to each other, because it's not from the comics, but apparently it's from the Arkham games, and it went from the Arkham games to the Batman, and now to Clayface, and is probably going to remain the motto of Gotham in every adaptation, so I guess never mind. And so that is it, a bit fleshing out of the DCU, a bit of connections to the Batman, but also maybe disproving connections. But let me know what your thoughts are in the comments down below. Do you think that these set photos disprove a merger, or do you think they strengthen the idea? And what do you think about everything else I talked about? Let me know in the comments down below, and thanks for watching.